But otherwise, let's go ahead and break down our player list. So just to give a rough look here. So we've got Kilo on Op 4, Ziki, one of the best players in OFCRA on Blue 4, Archangel, ARS, Baku, basically FAWR is going to be taking Op 4, that's what I say. FJ is going to also be on Op 4, MOR on Blue 4, Daedalus on Op 4, he's part of OFCRA, so I'd imagine Op 4 is going to be OFCRA. Rick Hunter on Op 4, Montana on Blue 4, Alfred, Barros, and Benares, Op 4, Bluck, Boeck, and Brewer on Blue 4. Brewer's pretty good. Cheeseburger's also pretty good on Op 4. Smith, Dennis, I'm going to say for that one on Op 4. Defi, Deminar, Despo on Blue 4. Flip for Flap, Floosh, Junior on Op 4. Fury, Kropa, and Greek God on Blue 4. I'd hope the guy with the word Greek in his name would be on the Greek side. That would be a little confusing if you ask me. Ilbanek on Blue 4. We'd like to see him because he occasionally streams and is part of the multi. Islambek on Op 4, Jonathan Op 4, Coffee Op 4, Cole and Cujo on Blue 4. That guy, I'm not even going to bring up his name. He's kind of a dick. Lewis, Manblue, Manschult, Murdy on Op 4, Mordau on Blue 4, Mr. White Op 4, Neko and Andre on Blue 4, Autovan, Big Mac on Op 4, Parthius, Blue 4, PHK, really good player on Op 4. Parthius is also a pretty good one. Pingus, some of these names, man. Pio on Blue 4, Pogo underscore on Op 4, different from TSB's Pogo, just because people sometimes ask. Punisher on Blue 4, Rizbo, Op 4, Rixu, Blue 4, Ruskoff, Op 4, Seal Williams, Blue 4, Nort, Op 4, Shea, Blue 4, Sir, Op 4, Skipu, Solek, Strons, Swula, and SZ on Blue 4, Tackle on Op 4, Adamek on Blue 4. Wait, Adamek, why are you saying bet Op 4 if you're... Oh, because you're betting Blue 4 on yourself. That's why you're here. So you want people to bet on Op 4 so you have a larger payout. Cheeky bastard. VRAM on Op 4 and the rest of these guys on Blue 4. Send in GOAT Team 6 now. Ezio.
Op 4 for the win.
Saying Op 4 for the win there with the 8-month resub at Tier 3. I appreciate it. I believe Ezio is also playing... if not, I know then his community is playing Op 4 then. Or he's deep faking like Adamek trying to get a bigger bet in. But regardless, thanks so much for all your support, Ezio. Hope you keep enjoying the operations. Hope you get a nice kick out of the scenario. And Crispy Cream Boy, thank you so much for the Tier 1 sub as well. I hope you keep enjoying the operations. Excuse me, as well. And I hope you get a nice kick out of this scenario. Now, I don't know if this will sway anyone's bets, but Bloodwing is Greek. So if you want to bet Bloodwing, I'm giving you a lot of different reasons for this one, guys. Go for it. But I don't know. Bozkata, it's a pretty nice island. You got some good fortifications along these positions over here. It's a lot of flat ground going up to some hills, so Op 4 is going to get some pretty nice advantages by defending these big hills, but we're going to have to see what assets Blue 4 has. They have to at least have one helicopter, because I don't imagine boats going... like 7 or 8 kilometers just to get to the first chunk of land. I mean, that's going to be 30 minutes of maneuvering there itself, so I'd imagine we're going to see a helicopter in play, so we'll see how that goes. Did the person who actually made the mission do Greek soldier research? Well, if they did, I hope they didn't get jailed for a few years like the Bohemia devs when they went to Limnos and took pictures of military installations for field research. I laugh about that now, but back in the day, that was pretty messed up. All right, 2 minutes till they go in-game. Bet still going. So as a reminder, because when TFAR kicks in, we'll be able to hear everyone for a second, so be careful in the sense that you'll probably hear a lot of people talking at once. But we'll break down their assets, we'll break down what they've got, and see how things go from there. Also, hydrate commands are on, both of them, and I'm enjoying... a blue moon filled with water, wink, and a glass of water. Good stuff. Just trying to finally relax today. But speaking of today, again, we've got this stream, and then at 8 o'clock we'll be doing the final phase of what I called Operation Facelift, where I tried to revamp how OFCRA did a few things. Not OFCRA, my bad, POG. Pog's op is at 8 p.m. I'll be Zeusing, and then I'll try to go into TMTM to play on the ground and just relax. But depending on the mission, you know, I've got a few rules for TMTM. For example, for fighting Russians, I tend not to play unless it's a specific mission that I have already played in the past and I like it, Or if it's a mission that I've played in the past that I didn't like, I will also not attend. So I'd say 50-50 if I show up. Frisk. No, I don't think you can actually say that because from what I remember, Twitch is actually banning people that say, what was it? Simple, Virginia, and I forget the third word. But it's not a matter of I'll ban you. It's a matter of Twitch will just ban your account. But that's... It's been like that since what? December? January? It's been a few months later. I don't think they're still enforcing it, to be honest, so... We'll see how things go. They probably are, yeah, right? Gamer words, yeah. What a world we live in. You get censored for simple words, and meanwhile, in another part of the world, there's a frickin' invasion going on, like... Bloodwing says this to me all the time, but we're living in the background of those dystopian model novels and stories that say, yeah, this is how the world was plunging into chaos. And it's like, yep. Good luck to our kids. Hey, Waz, we're sorry to hear that. Hope it comes up. Or hope he or she comes up. My bad. Then again, if you call something a he or she, then sometimes people get pissy about that too. That's a freaking... What a world we live in. What a world. Cat's doing cat Siri. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, we're going in game. Let's see how things go. Alright, so there you go. You're able to hear everyone. Just heard a misfire probably on that other side. We have some of the Turkish kits here.
Oh, curva.
Non, je crois ils ont des...
Oh, curva.
I don't know what that means, but... Alright, we got 2 transport trucks over here for OPFOR. I'm going to go over... Looks like they spawned in multiple different areas. We're seeing a mix of M60s. What are those, G3s? And M4s with 203s. Nope, 320 systems because they got the side mount with an ACOG as well. You've got some PKAS scopes for AK4. That's technically an AKM. You have a SCAR 17 with an ACOG sight as well. Okay. A lot of strange mixes here. Neat. All right, we have... Yes, Boo. This is a serious app. No, I gave you my name for it. Firehawk? Yeah, I'm doing Firehawk. But I gotta work, Boo, okay? I know. Love you too. I saw that. That was also pretty creative. But anyway, I gotta work, Boo, okay? Love you. Alright, so that's basically what we're seeing here. AKMs, G3s, SCAR 17s for the scoped weapon. And looks like the squad leaders get an M4 with a ACOG and the 320 system. Otherwise, I'm seeing multiple transport trucks here. I'm trying to jump around to see where else we're going to see any additional vehicles. 2 additional transport trucks there. Anything in here? No. And then we've got a small group of people out here, and these appear to be a 4-man special forces group. They're going over the rules right now.
They have to be inside a point for 3 minutes. We're outnumbering us 3-1 on the point itself.
So support, okay. Basically, just some suppressed M4s from the looks of it, or the, those are either 4s or M16A3s. By the way, 5.56. All right, Blue 4, we're looking at them. We've got a mix of civilian transports, which I guess they either stole or were delivered. Weaponry-wise, we're also seeing G3s. We're seeing MG42s. Interesting. PG... No, PSG... What is that? PSG something. That's a German marksman rifle. And then we're seeing M16... yeah, with 320 systems, but a different type of buttstock. I forget the name of that one. That's basically an M4 platform.
Pewnie taki tank umrę wcześniej.
No, it's not an M4 platform. That is... I actually don't remember which weapon that is, but, you know, the box mag right there? Yeah, that might be a G3 with a 320 system on it and an ACOG. That is based. Or is it an STG?
By the way,
No.
you can use GPS, so press Ctrl M. GPS will work.
I believe that is 762 though. So you hear people digging fortifications there. I am seeing a big lack of AT though. So there's no AT, there's no light anti-tank, medium anti-tank. Not seeing anything on that regard, which means the helicopter, if they're going to get one, is going to be a transport. And it looks like, yep, it is going to be a Huey with a 3-man Spec Ops team of also suppressed M4s. Just of a tannish color, and then an MP5 for the pilot. So a lot of similar calibers here. It's a G3 modern, that's fair. So a lot of similarities with the kits, but as well as a big amount of differences. So that means looting enemy ammo is going to be very common, but that also means you're going to be able to loot things after firefights of, you know, whatever you pick off. But anyway. This is the first zone. This is the second zone, which is the hospital complex. And the third zone is up here in this military base. Now, one thing I immediately want to point out on this zone is the flat areas outside of the zone are in the capture zone itself. So if you have people hunkered down in the base, if people are just in the zone, but outside of the base in the low ground, like right here, they could still specifically capture it. But how capturing works is Blue 4 has to be in the zone for 3 minutes. They have to have at least a 3-to-1 person advantage in the zone to anyone defending. So if Op 4 has 3 people in there, Blue 4 has to have 9 people in there before that timer starts counting down. And then once Blue 4 takes a zone from Op 4, it cannot be retaken by Op 4. Again, for the prediction, I am not doing it the way that they're saying in the mission command, because in the mission command for the official write-up, Blue 4 only wins if they're able to take all 3 zones, Op 4 only wins if they're able to hold all of the zones. Otherwise, it's going to be ruled as a draw. At least that's what I got in the breakdown of points in the mission command itself. So I am changing that to whoever controls more zones by the end of the round wins. So whoever controls 2 out of the 3 zones by the end of the 90 minutes is going to be the victor here. Now, Op 4, because they're forced to do a split of covering all the zones, I'm willing to bet they're probably going to abandon 1 zone outright just to hold 2 zones. I would imagine this zone might be one that they set up to defend purely because it is easily the most defendable. You just have to have forces on the outside of the ridges and then pull back to the internal perimeter of this complex and hold it. The other zone, I would say, is this zone. Same thing. It's just on a smaller scale, so this one is probably going to be one they're going to hold as well. Big Hill, you can hold the outskirts here. You've got some other small military places you can hold to help control this ridge. The hospital one is the one I would abandon because, yes, the hospital is really defensible, but you're next to a town, and, I mean, CQC hell could allow for enemy forces to get really close to you. But if you really lock down the top of this hospital, I mean, it's next to the ocean. It's got some open plains next to it. You only really have to focus on the town. But with so many people having magnified optics, it makes it really, really difficult to do a complete overwatch and try to find, you know, the one guy that's going to go in one of these buildings, look up there and find your head as you're looking and then pick you off before you might be able to react. So that's what I would do. Maybe have a small force hold the hospital and then your 2 larger forces on the northern and southern side, and then have your 4-man spec op team just go around seeing who they can pick off. Blue 4, meanwhile, I would take this very slowly since you have a 90-minute round. I would just go south to north, in all honesty. Take this zone, take the hospital, and then utilizing the hospital, get up to this hill, set up your overwatch from here with your marksman to pick things off as your vehicles then go up and then basically push in on the hill and then fully take that zone. So a south to north approach, because coming the opposite direction, I mean, this is going to be hellish. Yeah, you can also put marksman over there, but Since this is arguably one of the toughest objectives, I would keep it for last. Because you don't want to do something where you lose a lot of people in a heavy attrition fight and then have to go from there. So it looks like one squad's going to be setting up defenses. The other one is going to load up in this vehicle. I'd imagine the helicopter, is it going to be ready to go here? I'd imagine it's, usually they lock the helicopters early on, but it looks like they're going to let them fly immediately. And Blue 4 has almost everyone mounted up as well. Again, this is about an 80-player operation. Let's look at the ground commanders on both sides. I believe it would then fall to, because I'm looking if they specifically named it. They did not. So Alpha 1-1, I believe, would be Kilo commanding on Op 4. Blue 4 would probably be Rixu. So 2 commanders we actually haven't really seen a lot of within OFCRA. So we'll see what they come up with. So, when we do an OFCRA match, I like to divide it into 3 chunks. Technically, you have the 4th with the 8-minute, 10-minute, or 6-minute safe start, whatever they decide to choose. It looks like for this mission, they went for a simple 8-minute safe start. And then you have the 90 minutes, which I like to divide into 3 chunks of 30 minutes. You got your early game, your mid game, and your late game. Usually, missions are decided in mid game who's going to win, because early game is dedicated to a lot of maneuvering. And this map is quite big, so I'd imagine the first 30 minutes are going to be dedicated to Blue 4 maneuvering what they want into position. And then mid-game's going to focus a lot on assaulting the first 1 or 2 objectives, and then late game's probably going to go for that last objective there. So we'll see how they divide their forces. I could be wrong in my prediction. Blue 4 might go for a different route. They might also opt for trying to hit multiple objectives at once, which is very risky. But considering Op 4 might be trying to also hold all of them at once, it's just going to be much more reliant on who have the better PvPers, which is difficult in OFCRA because a lot of them are similar to players like Papega or Scandi Recon with an FNF. On their own as individuals, if they find the right positioning, they can do really, really well. Whereas an FNF, sometimes we do see, actually not even sometimes, we do see a lot of fumbles in FNF because it's a bit more of a casual player base. So Blue 4 is already moving out. We're seeing the helicopter come in. Now that heli could be one of 2 things. It could either immediately deploy its Spec Ops force, or it could deploy its Spec Ops force with the convoy, and then use to recon their route to prevent any ambushes from being made. Now right off the bat, we're seeing the Op 4 Spec Ops force setting up on a random ridge and looking in one direction. I personally always disagree with something like that, because you don't know where that Huey's going to land. It could literally go anywhere. It's very rare that this pays off, and don't get me wrong, when it does, it's usually very devastating for the offensive team coming in, or whichever team's trying to come in that this group is overwatching. But even on top of that, I've also seen the defenders fumble it pretty hard. So either way, just, you know, going on one certain area and just looking out in a direction, I'd never think is the best idea. I think the Spec Ops guys should be being sent in to try to find the convoy, or at least, you know, go down the standard MSR, because look at this route. I mean, Blue 4 is going to go either one of 2 ways here, because there's 2 major routes that go through the west and the east that intersect right here. And that just might be because I'm biased to this map, because I've used it for a lot in the past. Nothing recently, but I still remember. But we'll see how things go. And both sides, both Blue 4 and Op 4 Spec Ops, are basically having M4s with holographics with suppressors. It's just the Turkish ones are black, and the Blue 4's ones, the Greek Special Forces, which look like Marpat, are tan. So a lot of, both sides are using G3s, both sides are using M4s with 320 Grenadier systems. The difference between a 230 and a 320 Grenadier system is the 230 has the sights for the Grenadier system on the top of the gun, and the 320 system has them on the side. 320 is newer because back in the day, they didn't have scopes they would put on top of the gun. They would only use iron sights. So it made sense to, you know, also put the GL sight up there. But now that they have ACOGs that they put on a lot of, you know, standard troopers' guns, they put the Grenadier sight and the 320 system on the side. Greek Marsoc, yeah, right? So I do like Op4's defensive strategy. This is what I was calling out earlier. Have your forces on the outside of the perimeter to prevent anything from coming in. And then once you get your licks in to Blue 4 as they're coming up, then fold back and hold that defensive area. Again, this is why this northern AO is going to be a very attrition-heavy AO for Blue 4, and that's why I'd recommend it to be last. In what Blue 4 should do, because otherwise Blue 4 could take too much attrition damage, too many losses early on, and not have enough to fight off whatever's remaining in the other two AOs. So Op4 has also gone for having about a squad's worth of guys, the FAWR dudes, hold the hospital. And then we also have Op4 holding this objective, but they've also sent a force off over here to cover this side from the ridge. Again, I agree with that. Now, obviously, in the fact that they want to hold all three objectives, this is going to create a really heavy attrition. Not attrition. I guess more of a strain on Op4's resources. I think Op4's best bet for a strategy like this is to find out how Blue 4 is attacking. If Blue 4 decides to attack multiple objectives at once, then Op4 has two choices. They can either hold and play the PvP out and hope that the defensive advantage of them being in better positions, especially considering a lot of this open terrain, is going to play out in their favor. And honestly, between the marksmen and the squad leaders having magnified optics and ACOGs, and all these positions generally being uphill, making it easier for GL rounds to hit Blue 4 positions as they move uphill, Op4 is definitely going to have the advantage here in that. But if they find that, let's say, these two positions are hit at the same time and this position has nothing dealing with it, they could probably afford to send a squad and their Spec Ops guys to harass Blue 4 and attack them from a different direction in a nice counterattack, thus strengthening Op4. Nah, that's not the right way to say it. I guess thus causing more casualties on Blue 4 and potentially winning the match a little easier. Now, if Blue 4 does the more sensible thing and just attacks a single position with all of its force, that is where Op4 is going to have to be quick to mobilize, sending one of its garrisons, probably in full, in all honesty, to then counterattack that push, preferably before they lose a position. Because otherwise, Blue 4 is just going to be able to piecemeal the entirety of Op4 across 3 different sectors. And no, there is no respawn. This is a one-life PvP event. So I believe this is Blue 4 command, Op4 command over here.
You can hear you.
He's just watching some of these routes coming in. I mean, this is smart, though. This is covering both of the MSRs that I was mentioning earlier of going west to east. So he'll be able to at least see anything coming in from here. But the one weakness he's having, though, is Blue 4, seeing that this is the main MSR to go to, they might divide. Now, I'm also a little worried for Blue 4 here because they're doing the one thing that I would not recommend here, splitting their forces to attack the 2 harder AOs in the beginning. Now, we do have these forces coming in over here, and then one force coming up there, but I mean, sending 1/3 of your force to attack what, in my opinion, is the hardest AO is going to be very, very difficult. Yes, they have the Huey with them to scout out enemy positions and probably to drop off its special forces, but now it looks like they're getting a little bit of grace here. Op4 is actually abandoning this ridge position with their forces here. They are going to probably pull to somewhere else. So Blue 4 getting a little bit of a reprieve there as these guys fold in, but Op4 still have some good defenses that they've dug on the ridge line itself. Now, another issue I see here is both sides don't have any AT, so they're not able to utilize any of that AT to smash into these grad trench systems. The reason that's important is for about, I want to say, 6 months to a year now, grad trenches, which is now called Group Adler trenches, its French name, allows for a system of if the trenches take damage, they'll actually start sinking into the ground and eventually be destroyed. In the past, once you built this, it was invincible. Now, to counteract the fact that trenches, if they take, a lot of explosives, will eventually start being blown away with enough sufficient firepower, they will start sinking into the ground as they take heavy damage there. So That is another slight issue for Blue 4 because they're not able to use shock weapons on any Op 4 fortifications, and thus making it a little harder for Blue 4 to actually siege any position. Also, Chosen, thank you for the raid, my friend. What were you doing, Arma or 5M, or was it something new? For those who don't know Chosen, he is, I'd consider him one of my friends. He has a very charismatic nature with his stream, which I find personally addicting, and I hope you will too, because he's such a great guy. Very energetic in his streams, really brings that energy of streaming to life. He's just one of those types of people you want to be around, in my personal opinion. So feel free to go show him some love. You know what side Bloodwind's rooting for? Yeah, right? Now, one small issue I'm seeing here is the way Blue 4 is setting up their attack here, it will leave them exposed for the small Spec Op team to come in. Now, if this Spec Op team also had magnified optics, because they only have holographic sights for their guns, which are just, you know, simple ×1 magnifiers, I would consider them much more of a threat. But their best goal is to utilize their vehicle here, because this is a hatchback. It can go, actually, it's not a hatchback. I am unaware. It's definitely a sedan of some sort, but I don't know of its speed capabilities. I don't know how well it's going to do off-road, but regardless, Op4's best bet for its Spec Ops team is to get as close as they can with their special forces, get behind cover, and start picking people off with suppressed shots. Now, there's a big skill gap here in the sense of OFCRA players are going to react a lot more quickly to hearing suppressed shots than some communities would in FNF, for example. I guess the best way to put it is if you've ever seen a Papega group of players or a Scandi Recon group of players near a group that has suppressed guns and they start shooting, you almost instantly see Scandi Recon or Papega react to them. Whereas some other groups, they might not even notice. And that's what I'm trying to branch here for OFCRA. People are going to notice those very, very quickly because there's just that high skill level of player. But otherwise, Blue 4, they're going to utilize the ridge here for Overwatch.
Yeah.
And they're already starting to look. Now, Op4 have made a pretty critical mistake in their judgment here. I guess a better term would be lapse of judgment. But they pulled this force off on the ridge in favor of pulling them back to the main force immediately. The main fortification. And again, I think that's a mistake because if you are able to lock down everything around the fortification and then pull your forces back as you need to, you're kind of disallowing for that attrition to happen on Blue 4's line. So instead, Blue 4 is going to basically be able to get right on top of this position and only have to fight a few fortified areas that are overwatching this perimeter. And that's going to be easy pickings for the marksmen to, you know, just hunker those down to the machine gunners at this close of a range as the infantry then come in and get right on top of one of these entryways. So I still don't see Blue 4 taking this objective, though, because then you're going to have this force come around and then immediately flank within a few minutes whatever Blue 4 comes up with, and there's still the chance that Op 4 pushes forces out and still catches the Blue 4 group out of position and causes significant losses, because the numbers here seem to favor Op 4 only slightly, but again, defender's advantage. Now look at this. This is the type of attrition I'm talking about. Engaging from long range with your marksmen and machine gunners, forcing your enemy to utilize their smoke grenades to cross in the open, but there's only a limited amount of smoke grenades that you're going to get in a mission. The only way they're going to get more is by looting bodies. So causing them to burn their smoke grenades early on might not make any difference for the first AO, but will definitely make a difference for the second and third AO. And yes, Blue 4 is Greeks, Op 4 is Turks. Squad? Nice, man. Nice. And no problem, man. I love speaking the truth. Bloodwing already made an honest man of me a while ago, so might as well keep it forward. Or keep pushing it forward. Sorry, I'm getting a little loopy. I've been front logging some of your quote-unquote hydrate commands, chat, because I haven't had a chance to really sit down and relax in over a week, so. Now let's quickly look. I don't see any casualties on either side yet. We're about halfway through early game, and we're already seeing some opening engagements. That's pretty common. What I'm curious, though, is this. Because Op4, I could still see them... If they actually let the Blue 4 force get up here and this force is too slow to maneuver on a flanking attack of the Blue 4 units as they're coming in, so essentially a counterattack, Blue 4 could take the zone out right out from under Op4's nose. Now, I am liking that I'm seeing this car coming out to do a quick patrol. They might be able to catch Blue 4 out in the open here. That's exactly what we want to see. What I also like that I'm seeing is Op4 is immediately reacting by putting all of their guys in this zone back here to load up in a vehicle and go out and about. They'll probably head to the southern objective and try to flank these forces, but Blue 4, I guess anticipating this, is sending a small strike team around to the hospital, probably because they've confirmed there's Op4 here and Op4 here, so by having one attack bait out early on, they're trying to bank Op4 coming out and leaving that area to then counterattack. That's some very advanced level tactics that Rixu is delivering here. So I really do like that I see that. So that's going to give Blue 4 control of a zone early on, and that's going to force Op4 to lock down between two zones, which I think at the end of the day, officially is going to make this match a stalemate, but prediction-wise, could lean in Op4's favor. Now, the one issue I have here is once this force gets done with this AO, are they then going to backpedal and head to this AO, or head up to that one? And then how are the special forces going to play out? Blue 4 have a few guys kind of out of position here. They're heading to different objectives. But anything could happen. This car is still driving around. It's knocking down all of the bushes. So there's no concealment for Blue 4 to come in. And that way it's all open ground. That's a really smart call by Op4 here. I do like it when I see those types of plays. Because again, it shows that level of thinking that's going into all of this. Now, this truck has instead taken a left, and it looks like it's actually going to try to flank and take this AO on its own. That is a very risky call, because they don't know the exact number of people that are up there. And plus, we're having the special forces guys starting to come up here. They could do a lot of damage as well. Defi is down. He was the leader for the Alpha 1-5 element for Blue 4. But other than that, I'm not seeing anyone else down. No skulls, so hopefully someone will be able to get up there and drag him back. And we're hearing and seeing some marksman shots going back and forth here. Now, again, all the predictions I'm giving, it's still too early to call all of this, in my opinion. But Blue 4 appears to be doing a bit better. This Blue 4 group I'm a little worried about. They're folding into here instead. Maybe they're setting up to stop any forces coming from this AO to the next AO instead, which would cut off any Op4 guys trying to retreat, which would, you know, give Blue 4 some more easy picking. So that's another good play to do. Because again, thinking that they're going to go in and actually take the sector on their zone, maybe the Huey could go in and recon that, but that's a very risky play. But you know, for this sense, because we have that eye in the sky, we can see it will pay off for them, but they don't want to risk it. You got to remember, OFCRA is actually very, very cautious with some of its stuff.
Schrei, wenn du noch was brauchst.
Okay, okay.
So we also have Roy DeCamper and NASA in here, two players from OFCRA. Just, I guess, I know NASA's on vacation, but it looks like Royd is as well. Now, I do like what I'm seeing with the Blue 4 guys here. They're putting their marksmen... Do I say it? Hey, Falcon, out of curiosity, since I know you're a resident expert in this... oop, that is... Nope, that's him speaking. Okay, I thought someone died. How far can this marksman be before he technically gets in trouble for being too far from his group, if you don't mind me asking? Out of curiosity, since I know you're a resident expert in this. And you can tell by the chat spam there that he really knows what he's talking about. 200 meters. Well, so each one of these boxes represents about 200 meters, so... It's a little farther than 200, unfortunately, for the rest of his group. I don't know, Falcon. Looks like the rest of his group is unavailable at the moment. And that is the power
The only way we can communicate is this way.
of these special forces, guys. I'm going to go ahead and tab out quickly to mute myself, because when people die, you can hear them locally, because we're all put in the same spectator channel. His squad has been wiped, no penalty. Yeah. I love the irony in that. So a lot of smoke cover here, a lot of people failing their wake-up checks. There's the first death, and that was the leader. So Blue 4 already losing a group. Not a good thing for Blue 4 early on. Every box is 100 meters. And then the larger boxes, like this one, are 1 kilometer. And then this larger box is 10 kilometers. And now they're trying to pick off that one last guy as Games tries to fold in, but it's concealment. He's trying to pop a smoke. Trying to desperately crawl away here. His leg's crippled too, which is why he's only crawling slowly. He might just be able to get away, and now he's going to go for the roll. Oh, Falcon, you can't? Oh, interesting. Interesting. Alright, well, anyway, Op4's done a very good early blow here to Blue 4's forces, and we have Blue 4... Oh, gosh, this counter, though, is going to be devastating. So we had one guy go down by an Op4 marksman here, so Op4 are going to... Hopefully, we'll start seeing these forces pull back to hold this fortification here. I do like that Op4's all in the towers here. Blue 4 needs to do a good job of trying to lock these positions down. Oh, they have been. So you got Coffee here trying to bandage up a body. That would be Tackle. And it looks like that Blue 4 group has been fully wiped by the Op4 Spec Ops team. I do want to look real quick. Where is the Blue 4 Spec Ops team? They're still in the Huey. So I wonder if Blue 4 might try to land them on the hospital there. But we also have this Blue 4 force starting to come into this town. Huey flying right over Op4 Command's position. We have a lot of suppression going up to this tower. I'm really surprised we're not seeing these forces starting to fold in yet, though it looks like they're just giving that order as I speak. And they're going to start moving in and trying to hold that that complex itself. This force, I'm also curious if they're going to fold in, but they might start getting harassed by these two guys that was Seal and Brewer over here. They're trying to go for some long-range suppression, though, on this force as they run in. So you got one guy on the MG, the other guy on the binos, walking those shots in. Now Blue 4 is doing another massive smoke charge here on this position. So if these Spec Ops guys continue on, I could see them flanking the remaining Blue 4 group here. I see this as an Op4 victory. This is going to obviously be a Blue 4 victory once they fold in. It's just going to take them a little while. And then this is really contested at the moment. So after these fights finish up, we need to see who's still alive on what side and where the round goes from there. Now, Op4, it looks like they're going to dedicate folding some forces around to counterattacking the Blue 4 offensive. I like that. That's exactly what we need to see Op4 do in this situation. Unfortunately, Blue 4 are now going a different angle here, and there's no one over to cover that. So you're already seeing some shots going out early on. This guy folds into the corner. He's trying to throw some grenades up in the air. Doesn't really get the angle. Now he's fighting some guys in the open, but this guy, he does have the high ground. Trying to fold out. Engaging with that G3. Gets a hit. But while he's being engaged, we've got the Op4 squad lead. That's PHK coming around. He's a very good shot, and he has an ACOG scope as well. And those are the headshots he needed to take him out. He's going to probably put a GL up there for good measure. Little short, but it still does the job. Where did that grenade come from? Maybe Op4 right here. Jonathan threw a grenade before he went down, and that was able to knock out Joda here. Blue 4 trying to come around, taking fire because Op4 opening up these towers and engaging the low ground. Op4, yeah, he's looking through this little slit right now. Might see some of those Blue 4 guys down there. Blue 4, meanwhile, they deployed their special forces over here to basically attack the flank of these forces going away. And you got this large Op4 group starting to fold in as well. Blue 4 might not have enough time here to take this objective. Op4 still folding their forces in. This is their Spec Ops team. That's their alone marksman there. None of these guys are getting up over here, so I think they're down for the count. Still got one Blue 4 guy over there. We need to see some people really step up and start getting multiple casualties. I like that Op4 has been also pulling the wheels off their vehicles, trying to make it harder for Blue 4 to capture anything to utilize. Uh-oh. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I'm a little worried about these Blue 4 guys because now they got a full Op4 group coming up behind them. This is the Spec Op force. Able to knock out Poosh. You see this guy immediately try to turn around. He is then taken out. And here's what I'm talking about. OFCRA, he's immediately on that local radio trying to contact people. But Blue 4, they're going to go up, get some double taps. Grenades going over. And thank you for the bless-yous. And there's the third guy taken out. So these guys are going to continue to move up. You got more suppressive fire trying to come up. It's a little high, though. But we need to see these Blue 4 guys get these double taps and continue to move in. But Op4, they folded into the research complex. We still have that counterattack coming around as well. Blue 4 has been double tapped over here. They're getting medical to Jonathan, who's still alive. And we also have one guy, this is Coffee in here. Is he just bandaging because he's wounded? Yeah, that's what he's doing. So, yeah, these guys have to be holding to basically stop any QRF from coming in, not realizing that that area is open because the Huey's been instead focusing on doing reconnaissance for the other AOs. But based off of the numbers advantage here, Blue 4 is going to fall apart there. They're sending a force down over to help because they got one group wiped early on. But if Op4 can push their forces in right here, I think that's going to seal the deal for this group. They double tap him. But this fight is the really heavily contested one. Now look at this. Rick was taken down by TK Llama. And that's halted Op4's advance here because they heard those gunshots, and I believe they aren't able to radio him anymore. Now you got Blue 4 folding in. A little bit of pre-firing there. Hey, did you just realize they're friendly? Yeah, the friendly wiggle. I think he went down to friendly fire too, so a little bit of miscommunication there. It happens. And now Llama in a 3-to-1 engagement here. Grenades forcing him to go prone. Oh, knocking Rizbo to his feet, but unfortunately the marksman here unable to hold. Now you got that Op4 force that's following. So Vex was fortunately able to take out that shooter, but this massive force coming by, really well put grenade here, knocking a few Op4 guys back. Another one put, that's making them fold back. So great grenade throws by Despo here, who has a -1. But that number is, you're not supposed to be able to see the number counter, so maybe it actually tracks friendly fire kills. I don't know anymore. But unfortunately that smoke ran out. And Baku was able to get the kill on Despo there. So Blue 4 holding the entrance. Looks like they took another casualty there, another one of their marksmen. And now you're having, look at Swola here. He's prone right now, firing just under that building. And he was able to knock out 2 people by basically taking their feet out. Because the wounded guy was right here. It looks like they brought him back up only to knock him out again. That was Jonathan. So great knockouts there. Great utilization of the terrain. But now it's a matter of, can this Blue 4 force hold off this Op 4 counterattack? And can the few Blue 4 defenders hold off Op 4 as they push in from this way? I think that early on engagement by the Spec Op team was one of the first dominoes here. No, that's a lie. This fight has nothing to do with what's going on up here. It might have forced the Spec Ops guys to come up, but they're just a small nail in the coffin here. So one-on-one here, one of the Spec Ops guys was able to win that fight. We need to see some grenades thrown over. It looks like they're trying to throw grenades over. That was an Op 4 guy that tried to do it. That was ineffective. More grenades being thrown over. Those are going to land right next to the GL firing guy. More wounds given. But look at that. 3 Blue 4 guys down here, including one of their Spec Ops guys. That is not what we want to be seeing for Blue 4 here. Heard another bullet impact. It's quite possible these guys are being engaged from a different direction, and that would be this guy up in this tower, Lewis, with a marksman rifle there, just a Scar 17 with an ACOG, which, you know, compared to most guys with iron sights or single red dot sights, that's definitely something. So I don't think Blue 4's realized they're being engaged from different angles here. I'd imagine Lewis is now going to be a little patient, waiting for what he can see. That truck is actually blocking his line of sight of that one Blue 4 guy that went prone. Now you got double tapping by Swola here, as he looks like this guy might have been up and then he knocked him out. Oh, it might have been Candy too, because he was in here. I don't see him anymore though, so it might be... No, he's not one of the guys. Or was it Coffee? Might have been Coffee. Grenades being thrown out. Very risky push out idea here. I think we're going to see some double tap. Nope. Yep. Nope. Body checking. Blue 4 still holding this position. When they poke out, they get shot by that marksman. And you got Seal and Brewer coming up on the rear to be one final flanking attack. They could do a lot of damage here. They got an MG and something else. Parthius trying to push out. That was really risky because that's a lot of, in this one firefight, you know, Op 4 is also over here. That was a little bit of an overcommitment, even though it ended up being a one-on-one, but still very risky idea. You got someone, Vex went up to the high ground and got taken out. And there goes Blue 4 getting double tapped. Now you're going to start seeing the defender's advantage favor them a bit more. Brewer and Seal engaging from the outskirts here, picking off some individual guys, knocking out Archangel. But just the sheer amount of Op 4 guys you have up here. Meanwhile, Blue 4 have actually turned the fight around on the southern fight. This group was able to move in and is starting to breach. This other group was able to get in, and then that marksman pulled back, and they're now harassing Op 4 special forces, knocking one out and forcing the rest of the round. You still have Barros over here. He could go in there and get something. And then Blue 4 here will eventually fold in and take that. So the events for Blue 4 up here are going to determine how much Op 4 still has to hold this sector, potentially go out to another sector. So if Blue 4 is able to take out a good chunk of the remaining Op 4 guys, even if they lose this fight, Blue 4 could still eventually win this round, because of the other two AOs heavily favoring Blue 4 at the moment. And that's what I like about PvP and covering it. Even if you lose the fight, what's the phrase? Even if you lose the battle, you can still win the war. So if you get your butt kicked, but you still go, like, you know, 20 guys attack you, and you're the only guy defending AO, but you kill 5 of them, even though you still lost your battle, those 5 kills will have massive repercussions for the rest of the fight, and that could have helped to wrestle out the number advantage the enemy had, so the rest of your guys can then win. Now, of course, that cuts both ways. If you send your best forces out in a fight, and they do a really great job, but then the rest of your forces are I'm not going to say anything mean, then the rest of your forces fumble the rest of the round, then you can still lose. And my favorite example to use is an FNF match where it was about a month ago. They had Papega Pirates do this amazing ambush, kill like 15, 20 guys, take out multiple vehicles, slow the entire convoy, and then the rest of the side that Papega was on just fumbled it, and it became this really close like 8v2 in terms of the remaining players out of this like 100-person match, but then the attackers were still able to win because the side that Papega was on, the defenders, they just made so many mistakes after that, and it just wasn't a good one. These were really good players too, because Scandi was on their side as well. They went hunting for a 117 that was harassing them, and the 117 just kept outmaneuvering them. Yeah, Spikey, remember, Spikey's what's in that. Grenade goes in. That's gonna... Yeah. But here, this is where things are getting to get messy. That's an MG42. His battle buddy just got knocked out by 7.62 rifle. But that MG42, if he bides his time, could do really, really well. Unfortunately, he might not be checking his flank here, and Kilo might come around. And it looks like the remaining Blue 4 guy was just knocked out. That was Shay. There's another MG. Rizbo was hiding behind a trench, I guess heard him, and came around. Now you got Op4 coming up here, double tapping these bodies. Oh! Oh! He doesn't know where he's being shot from. And he's hiding. He has no ID. He's crawling in the open again. Is he gonna see him? Nope, that little shrub's just too thick. Wait, he might have. He might have. And he didn't see his antenna. Ah. So here's the issue here. Op4 still has a good chunk of guys remaining up here. That could still be enough to stop whatever Blue 4 has remaining. What the... You had... This is what I was talking about. You can have the number advantage, and you could still get your butts kicked. Op4 held. I don't see Blue 4 winning this. Wow. Op4 had like 4 or 5 guys here. Blue 4 attacked with like 7 or 8. Oh, man. That is not what I was expecting to see, in all honesty. There had to have been a miscommunication of some sort by Blue 4, but yeah, so they pushed in here. You see 3 guys down. You see some Op4 guys on the towers around, but I mean, that I think was also part of the earlier fighting as well, but 2 guys, so I'd imagine this is how the attack went. They pushed in. You see a lot of blood right here too, but no bodies. So I'd imagine they pushed in. They got curb stomped by the defenders, took a lot of casualties. The 2 remaining then pulled back and hid here and got walked up on in a counterattack. Oh, man. I forgot Benares is a god. And this other guy right here, he's double tapping too. So, wow. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6... 7. Yeah, about the 7 or 8 I was seeing earlier. Good God. Ziki was part of that Blue 4 group too. One of the best on that northern attack. He's down. The Greek God's down. So this was Adamek's group. With, I guess Adamek was right. You should have bet Op4. All of his guys are down here. You still got that group over there. I'd imagine some of them have left by now, which is why you don't have them on that roster. But Blue 4 down to 1 acting group, this smaller acting group in ground command. So you're down to 11 guys. Meanwhile, Op4 are 11, 12, 13 guys. Op4, meanwhile, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11... 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, but technically 17 and 2 wounded. And we've only just recently... no, we're about 10 minutes into mid-game. So these guys were waiting to do any counterattacking because they thought they'd win this section. Now, they could still... No, they're kind of pointless at this point. So what they're probably going to do from here is move into the hospital and take it. Now, here's the deal. Again, points-wise, this could still probably going to be a blue 4 victory in my books for the prediction. But I will say OP4 has just been heavier on the PvP. But I've stated the rules of the prediction, and I'm going to stick with them. What's curious to me, we just had some shots go up to that helicopter. What's curious to me, though, is why are these guys pulling back? I think they're going to get their vehicle that they left somewhere over here and then pull it up as the other two then move in. But let's see, we got 3 guys remaining, and they're going to be fighting 6. So will history repeat is my big question. So you got some grenades being thrown in. There's only one entryway, though, unless you use a vehicle to ram one of the walls, or if someone dies against the wall and they, get flung around it. Or you could technically build a trench like this, and then you can use it to then vault out of the wall, which is what I imagine this trench is for right here. It's for climbing out and then flanking whoever comes around. But yeah, this keyhole is pretty brutal. ZXC, I think he saw the foot there and freaked out for a second, but that's just giving away Blue 4's attack position. I'd imagine Op4's out of grenades if they didn't loot any extra. Now, they do have, medical and ammo right there, but we'll see. Benares coming out in the open, trying to line up a shot on Punisher. He then folds back in. Pretty decent grenade throw there. That cripples Benares as well as some additional gunshots. Ah, Blue 4. They did the smart thing. They climbed on that and they vaulted in, so now they're going to be flanking Op4, which is what the original Blue 4 attack force should have done instead of going on that choke point. And Op4 has no idea that they're being flanked at the moment. There's Benares down. There's Barrows taking shots. So you got Nancy coming out, trying to get an angle here. Barrows trying to engage a defender. Not sure if he got him. Grenades exchanging. Nancy taking fire from multiple different angles. Barrows has a good keyhole here. He's going to catch Cole out of position. Isn't able to get the kill. ZXC coming around to get the flank as he's reloading. Takes him out with the MG, and Nancy gets taken. So Zone 3 is being captured because they officially had that advantage, and that's going to be folded in. I don't think it's a 3-minute timer. We could see the Spec Op guys try to come in, but at this point, now we need to see these guys turn around. They're already turned around. They're going to be taking the hospital. So officially on the board, based off of what I based on the prediction, it looks like Blue 4 is going to win, but I will say Op 4 definitely had the point, have the better PvP, in my opinion. And again, the reason I state that is if we just followed the rule set that they had on OFCRA, then this match would have more than likely been a draw, and it's definitely going to be a draw. Because I see Blue 4 taking that. I see Blue 4 taking that. I don't see them taking this, in all honesty. It's going to be a very close fight, but with Op 4 with the defender advantage there, and with how many casualties Blue 4's already taken, it's going to be close, to say the least. All right. So they're undigging the trenches now. That's smart. See, that shows how they got into the base. And now they're, because it was partially clipping through, they're undigging them. So now people can't do the same thing that Blue 4 did, that they did to then take the base. It's very good. Looks like, yeah, the Spec Ops team, they're not even going to try it. They're going to immediately go for just hunkering down at the final position. Is surrendering a thing in OFCRA? Yes, we've seen a few guys surrender. They're usually then summarily executed, but they do surrender. And the reason for that is in almost every match, this I think is the first match we haven't seen it, but there is a supremacy bonus. So if you knock out the enemy team to 5 or less players, your side then gets points. But again, this is only about sector control at the moment. Now, what I'm also curious about, that Huey's flying really high in the sky. Not sure if it'll see the Op4 Vic there. But even then, it doesn't really have any way to deal with it. And then you got this guy all the way over here. Well, he's shown me he's not an AI and he's a player because he's just shooting his handgun here. Go get him, Jeremy. All right, Zone 3 officially captured. These guys slowly moving in on Zone 2, treating that. So the fact they're treating this with the utmost caution indicates they do think there is an enemy garrison right there. So that was always a part of their plan. These guys dismount. They might try to take anything that comes around. But another thing that could happen is, looks like they're going to take the truck, but the Huey could land and pick everyone up at this point. The final fight is really going to be all about taking this one area. Now, here's the thing, though. A lot of the fighting itself was done on these choke points, and the bodies kind of show it. All right, there was a little bit of fighting on the outskirts, but a lot of the fighting itself was done either just outside or in the choke point itself. So, Op4 needs to consider capitalizing on that. Again, put people in the towers, lock down the choke point, and just make it absolute hell for them to get in. But if Blue Force smart, and this is a force that already utilized this trick, they'll dig a trench, they'll vault over it, they'll try to find a position where it isn't hunkered down, and then push in and take it regardless. Now, this is a good learning experience for me as well, because it brings up an interesting scenario. What if Blue 4 gets the 2 sectors, commits everything to the final sector, but then gets completely wiped? By my definition, because I didn't include that clause, Blue 4 would still technically win the prediction of the standard that I set up. But in the future, if we have something like this, I will make sure to add that as an exception. If one side gets fully wiped, regardless of what's on the map, they still lose. These guys are walking all the way back. The only thing I can think of by that definition then is they wrecked their vehicle somehow. Yes, they did. Of course they did. Yep, 2 downed wheels because every Vic only has 1 spare wheel, so of course they did. Now, how did they wreck it, though? Going off terrain like this, it's quite possible there was a small divot in the ground that to the Vic detected as if it hit something and made a collision and broke it because they were going at a high speed. So there's that other sector being taken. That one truck starting to set up. Here's the deal. These guys need to set up to hit the sectors at the same time. But look at this. That 3-minute timer, you have an Op4 team of 4 barreling in to take that zone. That's really risky because only 4 guys. They don't know how many guys are on the defense over there. And there's no way they're going to get there in that 3-minute span. So they're at least going to be able to get some reconnaissance of how big this Blue 4 group is. But that's also weakening the defense over here. That's going to turn into, let's see, a 3-7 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 scenario. So that's going to make it even on the player count. Plus, Blue 4 have the ability to reconnaissance the area with their Huey. Which, if we look on the Huey's POV, he's looking forward right now, but he's got the door open on his left, which means he can see anything if he looks left. But he's definitely trying to look around to see what he can see from up there. Now, again, Falcon, the thing is, I don't see a bush, though. I think he literally just hit a divot in the ground because I don't see any knocked over bush textures. And the fact that it's just in the open right there. Wait. Nope, that's... I thought... So, again, that spot I thought was a bush, but nah. all of the bushes look fine, so I think they were just going really fast on the side, and it just knocked things over. Because I don't see any flattened terrains. And again, an example of a flattened bush texture. If we go up here, you can see it. It's like that. Because they were knocking over all these bushes to stop any concealment so their marksmen on the towers can take anyone out more openly. So OPFOR did... So, obviously, here's the radiator for the engine, right? They needed to flip the car over to help the engine. The engine has better cooling efficiency if it's lengthwise over. I see. So the car is now... I'm sorry, I'm butchering this. It's not a car, it's a truck. The truck is now a ballerina. And OPFOR, the Turkish players, they hurt themselves here, but they're helping the truck practice for its ballerina lessons. And you see now the truck is done with its ballerina class, so now they're going to load up in the truck as it's able to now drive off now with these 4 guys. A little bit of medical being done, but yes, of course, that is exactly what was going on there, okay? If you have any questions, just remember I am a professional Arma 3 commentator. Shut up, Falcon. This is why you're... Oh, I just threw my pencil. All right. that was funny. Let me write down that timestamp. All right, so Blue 4, they've set up all the way down there. They're going to probably be joined by their force coming around. These guys, because they were held up, are probably going to fold back into that defensive line. And we're not going to transition into end game for another about 8 minutes. So final fight's going to be there. Could see the Spec Op force get in a position to take out Blue 4 early on, but it looks like Blue 4 is going to maneuver. So right off the bat, we're seeing a few issues. These guys, about a click behind, could actually set up as Blue 4 setting up to engage and engage them for the rear. We already saw them do that with an entire squad. The one concern I have, though, is this helicopter. But I don't see Sixor actively looking around to the left and right. He's only focusing on what's ahead of him. We also have this 4-man group going on foot up here, so that's going to take them a little while because they have a big uphill trek they got to make. But so far, what I'm going to say is these guys are going to go in. They're going to fight the 10 defenders because it's actually 7 plus 4. So 11 defenders probably get held up. Spec Op team's going to go behind them, sandwich them, more than likely wipe them. 4-man team's going to go in, and the remaining OPFOR defenders are going to be able to overpower everything. Shut up, Roar. Freaking turtles, man. Imagine going airborne and then a machine gun just chews you up because you decided to do that jump. Ah, that's funny. But now these guys are going to be out of position. Every time I say Brewer, you think I'm saying Brewer? Yeah, until you get the E inside the O sound or vice versa, right? I'd imagine this Huey's going to land and pick these guys up because otherwise it's just too much of a walk. That Huey has to come down to make that landing. And you see him starting to make that descent. Yep, that's exactly what he's going to do. Now, the question is, where is he going to deploy them, though? Because he could deploy them on a completely different angle. He could deploy them to reinforce. He could deploy them on the side to support. There's a lot of different choices here. All of them are good. They offer all of their pros and cons. But this is going to be a really interesting ending fight that we're going to see. So let's look at who's still alive on this side. Anyone noteworthy? So I love that name. Woman Fear Me, Fish Fear Me. Solik, Pingus, Skipu, Defi, Kalneb, ZXC, Punisher, Pio, Mordaru. Who knows? And then Sixor flying. And they're going to be fighting against FAWR, White Knight, Manchoke, Coffee, Rizbo, And then more members of FAWR, and then Smith, Cheeseburger, VRAM, and Big Mac. So I'm going to be honest, a lot of names that I normally don't cover. So it's really just a toss-up based on previous actions. I mean, these guys did a really great job compared to the previous squad of breaching the compound, so they show they have the know-how of how to breach a large compound and flank in. That Spec Op team, though, they did a great ambush early on, wiped an entire squad, but are they going to be able to maneuver up in time? Because Blue 4's really pushed that distance. Op 4 is not going to be able to engage Blue 4 unless they get right on top of them because they only have ×1 magnified optics. And is the marksman already turning to engage? He has to be. He's not really getting close, though, because you're seeing the shots on the tracer script kind of going around. And then meanwhile, you have the Huey. Why is the Huey flying all the way back here? Is it going to try and deploy behind those guys to take him out? Which I guess strategically is a decent call, but that means more time for Op4 to push in. At this point, I think the best bet would be them deploying on a different angle and attacking because you got to go for broke on this objective. Because logically, right now, there are 7 attackers here, 7 defenders. So again, even, as I already called. But by deploying these guys at a different angle to attack and then holding the choke points, they could theoretically still win this fight. Really risky business up here for Oliver to be going up on that tower. That could be the play that saves the game, though, because no one generally checks up there. Now look at that. That is a really smart call. Driving in between his 2 forces there, but he's practically acting as a battering ram because there is some armor in that truck. And there's no AT. So if he timed it with his infantry, they could push up behind him. But now we're starting to see that attrition I was talking about earlier in the round of people getting taken out in the open right here by units on Overwatch positions. He rammed that wall, though, and now he's going to be able to breach in. And Blue 4 following suit with that. Huey coming around as well. I just want to see how long it takes for Blue 4 to notice that guy on the high ground, because once they notice him, he has no place to hide. But he's still got great Overwatch to still take people out. But look at that. All the way on the other side, you've got Ethan here. He's firing underneath that structure at people's feet and practically suppressing them. This is kind of broken those forces here. Blue 4 deploying really far. That's going to allow for this truck to come up, set up on this hill right here, and take them out as they move up. That is a very... Oh, no. That's going to basically screw over their QRF. And then you still have the Spec Ops sides. Even if Op4 loses that fight, they'll be within 3 minutes to retake. It's really looking that Op4 is going to win this fight. Again, officially, Blue 4 has won the prediction, but... yeah, they're in the open on the side of the hill. This is a losing fight. And because of the angle of this, they can't bipod their weapons because it's not flat. So at this range, with this stuff, it's only luck if Blue 4 actually survives here, because these guys have flat terrain to rest their weapons. Blue 4 does not, because they're on the side of a little ridge. Great reaction by Blue 4 here to pop all that smoke. Meanwhile, grenades being thrown up here. Only 3 guys remaining. Op4 still have all 7 of their defenders. And there's that headshot. Great grenade throw. Knocking out that M60 gunner. But I think Op4 is going to be able to hold. Yeah, the pilot was trying to land in a position that he knew that didn't have Op4 overwatching it. There were some slightly better choices, in my opinion, but I guess they forgot that that force was over there. Or it wasn't communicated properly. Now, Rixu, he's still alive as Blue 4 Command. Op4 Command died up here, actually. But Blue 4 sweeping in with 2 guys. You got some feet shots here. It looks like Oliver was either found in this position or he climbed down. He climbed down, okay. But yeah, all these keyholes is going to make the Blue 4 assaults a living nightmare. And eventually that Huey's going to have to come down and land and join the fight with its MP5. Yep, so he has both an M60, which was a Blue 4 MG, and he's switching back and forth between those guns. So Op4, they've aggressively pushed to try to cut this force off. They're down to still 3 players. They left the wounded there because there's nothing they could do. It was in a bad position. Also, I think that might have been their medic in the group too. Just realized this Blue 4 only has 1 medic remaining. Blue 4, that guy gets double tapped. I think that was ground command there. That was Rixu, yep. Again, Op4 have won, but won that battle, but Blue 4 have taken 2 out of 3 territories. So technically, Blue 4 wins the prediction because those were the settings I put for it. But it's also shown me that, you know, if one side, even if they're winning, commit to an all-out attack, then technically they should still lose. Still have a few people trickling in and around. Great pickoff there by, I'm just going to call him Fish. Yeah, and he's got some great concealment to work with right here as well. Hey, Mod, how you doing? That Huey at this point just needs to land. And there goes Called. Skipu coming around, but, you know, same fatal funnel right there. He's just going to be taken out. You got the Spec Op guys coming up, but they could get the rear shots on PO and potentially Woman, but... Definitely a few upsets on both sides, but at the end of the day, Op4 just had the slightly better PvP fights. That was mainly because the Spec Ops team was able to wipe an entire group of Blue 4 without even receiving any return fire. And then that first assault on that southernmost objective, that Blue 4 force of 4 or 5 was able to take out 7 or 8 Blue 4 and only have 2 casualties. So it was those 2 fights that really helped shift that number balance, and that's why you're seeing the fight now. And I want to say, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 v 1, 2, 3, 4. So between those 2 fights, you know, Blue 4 losing a group of 6 and a group of 7 or 8. That's why the number advantage is like this right now. And again, had the Northern fight, had those Blue 4 guys take out a few more Op 4 guys, then this Blue 4 force, probably the original one that assaulted, would have had less opposition, so they would have been able to take more ground, kill a few more guys, probably secure the entire compound itself, and you'd be seeing a completely different focus here. You'd only have those, you know, 2 or 3 guys trickle in, but then you'd still have, you know, 7 guys attacking, and the roles are just simply reversed. But it didn't play out that way. So Op4, they're just going to regroup and push. He's shooting at Ghost. He's going to see some movement up there. Don't do it! Don't do it! I mean, yeah, the Blue 4 gunner, he only fired 1 shot and then he realized his friendly. What do you even do in that situation? Like, you have to defend yourself, but someone's going to die. There is going to be a blue-on-blue incident right there. Like, the Blue 4 gunner gave up at that point because it's like, I shoot him and I kill him or he kills me, but either way, we lose another Blue 4 guy. That sucks. Holy shit, that guy just freaking turned around and sniped the dude out of that damn tower. And then Op4 just sniped that dude out of For every blue on blue, there has to be a red on red. Okay, I see where this is going. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. And then he gets one tap by one of the Spec Ops guys, and then the Spec Ops guys start shooting. It keeps going. It keeps going. Oh. So now there's only one blue 4 guy, so they can't blue on blue anymore, so the red on red just has to keep continuing. Wait, I lied. There's still the blue for a helicopter. So he has to crash it into him. That's the law of equivalent exchange. So this shows me that there is no communication on either side right now, which explains why that Huey landed over there. It explains why Op4 is shooting at each other right now. It's just a massive mess of comms, and everyone's just shooting at whatever they can see at this point. Turkish SOF got updated orders. No survivors. Ah, oh, brutal. It's a free-for-all now. Huey's gonna come into land. Great job not smacking the tail. He can drop his parachute now for less weight. Skipu getting flanked here. He's gotta get that mag in quick. Oh, not quick enough. Here comes Oliver running up, and he gets double tap. So good stuff on Oliver, you know, changing positions, adapting. Now it's just up to 6-or. It's 1 versus 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 1v10. Can he pull a mini Audrey Hotto and save the day? An MP5 with 3 to 4 mags. Let's go. He chooses not to loot the body for a better gun. Wait. He chooses to loot the body for a better... There it is. AK time. He's doing the thing where you loot and then you turn around. Loading a fresh mag in it too. He could still drop that parachute because it offers nothing except just more weight. I think he saw the movement up there. Trying to keyhole him. Nade out. It's under. Goes up the stairs, then rolls back down. Another grenade goes up there. Third grenade goes up there. Clutch or kick. Oh, is Oliver doing the thing where he's under the building? No, he's in the building. Okay. I'm not even sure if that's Oliver. Ethan holding this with a trench blocking the entryway. Interesting. Uh-oh, footsteps. And the M60! How did your body... Huh. You know, I've seen ragdoll physics, but that's a new one. That's a new one. Alright, pay the prediction out the blue 4, because technically, again, by the definition I gave, they got 2 out of the 3 sectors, and I said whoever had more sectors by the end wins the prediction, but in the future I'll add an addendum to say if that force has more objectives gets wiped, then it'll lose by default. But I didn't state that, so I don't want to, you know, flip-flop, because that would be unfair. Alright, well, that's all of blue 4 dead. And it looks like Op4 is starting to celebrate. Alright, so, thank you so much for watching. Go operate operationally. We will be back in 3 hours. Otherwise, cheers, and have a good one.